Hello. It's been a little while since I made a video. In the meantime, I have moved into my tiny, tiny camper. And I am traveling around Sweden for this summer. I am holding the intention to connect with myself, be in a lot of silence and space to explore, also to connect with this land that I've been away from for a long time when I lived in the UK. And I've been feeling the call to drop in here because I love making these videos. I love having a space where I can share reflections, share parts of my journey, I guess. And right now I am playing in the field of perhaps integrating the understanding, like the non-dual understanding that came to me a while back now. When it happened, I thought I was just done. Like, I've already been on a long spiritual journey. I have explored consciousness and different dimensions. And then the non-dual understanding dropped in for me that's like, whoa, I'm all of it. That's me. There is no person. It's just it's just being, right? But since then I've realized, because that understanding, that part of awakening, it actually activated so much, I guess we can call it shadow, right? Sometimes it's difficult to use these concepts because they hold so many different meanings for different people. But essentially what came up for me post awakening, I have experienced more than one of these awakenings, but post the non-dual understanding dropping in, post that initial complete bliss state that lasted for a few months, and the exploration around that and the playfulness around that is still with me completely. There came negative, quote unquote, negative emotion. And I had thought that I was just so funny, that I was just done with negative emotion. So when it came up again, because of one of the hardest situations that I have navigated in my life, because of that situation, negative emotions started coming up. Negative. Let's not, it was emotions that were difficult to deal with, like sadness, hopelessness, confusion, not knowing what to do, not knowing how to accept reality for what it was. And there was a part of me that was still resisting emotion, still resisting the human experience of emotion. And so when those thoughts came up, I was like, oh, I've done something wrong. Like, I thought I had an awakening, but apparently I didn't, because I still feel things. um, and and that experience taught me over time that emotion is also part of it. And I started to understand that emotion isn't anything, right? I started the situation that I found myself in, the experience that I found myself in, and then subsequent, is that the right word? Experiences beyond that initial one that like brought back human emotion to me again after this time of bliss. It taught me how do I express this? It taught me to work with the emotions, or relate to the emotions in a different way. It started to teach me that emotion isn't what I thought it was. And it also taught me that it is the stories that I tell about the emotions that are arising that are really what creates the value around emotion. So we can have a sense of, say, grief, say there's a loss, right? We can have a sense of grief in our bodies. And we can also have this the story, the story of this loss within the mind. It's not, and this is what I started to understand, it's not about getting away from any of that. We're not getting away from anything. We're not rising above anything. But it is the realization, the recognition that we can have these emotions and witness these stories, and at the same time understand and realize that we are not that, right? We are we are absorbing the experience. We are the experience. We're not the person having the experience. We are the experience itself. We are the whole thing playing out. And we get to have all of it. We get to have the painful emotions. I thought something was crawling on me. We get to have the playfulness, the creation. We get to have the interaction with other human beings, other anything, relating with this physical vehicle body. And the exploration is in experience itself. There is nowhere to go and there is nowhere to run. It is everything. And can we open to all of it? My personal preference of exploration, of inquiry, if you like, is the opening. Is, for me, it's very similar to, or it is bhakti yoga, the love path, the surrender path, the give it all to God path. That is just what comes naturally for me. So for myself, for this perspective of being, can I open my entire being, my entire experience? Can I drop into experience itself and almost feel as if the boundaries of my illusory self just kind of disintegrates and it all becomes life, moving, just life, just being, just all of it happening, just life. All these different parts moving at once, and from one perspective seeming to be separate, and then from this other perspective not separate at all, just all of it one being, living, exploring. It's almost like like the fingers on your hand, they're all part of one being, but they're all doing their own thing. You can have your you know little pinky finger in one place and you can have your ring finger in another place, and they're touching different things, right? Or even like your foot and your hands. They are having two completely different experiences separately. We're still moving from one central place. It's not a great example, but it is an example. Just because we look like, from this perspective of the body, look like we are separate, when we look a little bit closer, it becomes apparent. It's not a belief, it's not a thought, it's clear. And we can sense it. when we open our focus, how much can I invite in at once? Can I open to all of it? And then move as if in this void being space. It's me over here. It's also me over there. Thank you for being here. Thank you for exploring. Thank you for playing around with these. The truth. With the truth of what we are, what this experience is. Playing around with, ultimate love and joy. It's hiding right here. It's right here. All of it. We just have to shift perspective. Okay. Satnam.